The fall of Babylon is a historic event that marks the end of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. The empire, which was founded by King Nebuchadnezzar II in 605 BC, had dominated Mesopotamia for almost 70 years before its eventual downfall. The fall of Babylon is often associated with the conquest of the city by the Persian king Cyrus the Great in 539 BC. However, the events that led to the fall of Babylon are more complex and span several decades. To understand the fall of Babylon, it is important to first understand the context in which it occurred. The Neo-Babylonian Empire was a powerful and wealthy kingdom that controlled much of Mesopotamia, including the ancient city of Babylon. Under the rule of Nebuchadnezzar II, Babylon became a center of art, architecture, and culture. However, the empire was not without its problems. Babylon was constantly at war with its neighbors, and maintaining control over such a vast empire was a daunting task. Additionally, the Neo-Babylonian Empire was facing economic problems due to heavy spending on military campaigns and lavish building projects. The decline of the Neo-Babylonian Empire began in the late 6th century BC, when the Babylonian king Nabonidus came to power. Nabonidus was an unusual king who was more interested in religion and archaeology than in politics or military affairs. He spent much of his reign on expeditions to ancient religious sites throughout Mesopotamia, neglecting the affairs of state in the process. This neglect allowed the empire's enemies to gain strength. The Persians, who had been a minor power in the region, began to expand their territory and challenge Babylon's dominance. In 550 BC, the Persian king Cyrus the Great defeated the Median king Astyages and established the Achaemenid Empire, which posed a significant threat to Babylon. Meanwhile, Babylon's economy was in a state of decline. The heavy spending of Nebuchadnezzar II and his successors had drained the empire's treasury, and Nabonidus's neglect of state affairs only made matters worse. The empire was also facing internal divisions, with different factions vying for power and influence. These problems came to a head in 539 BC, when Cyrus the Great led his army to Babylon. The Persian army faced little resistance as it marched through the empire, and Nabonidus fled the city without a fight. The Persian army then entered Babylon and declared Cyrus the Great as the new king. The fall of Babylon was a significant event in ancient history. It marked the end of the Neo-Babylonian Empire and the beginning of the Achaemenid Empire, which would go on to become one of the largest and most powerful empires in history. The fall of Babylon also had a profound impact on the region's culture and religion. Babylon was an important center of religion and learning, and its fall led to the spread of Persian culture and religion throughout the region. This included the introduction of Zoroastrianism, which became the dominant religion of the Achaemenid Empire. Despite its significance, the fall of Babylon remains a somewhat mysterious event. There are few contemporary accounts of the conquest, and much of what we know about it comes from later Greek and Roman historians. These accounts often differ in their details, and some are more reliable than others. One of the most famous accounts of the fall of Babylon comes from the Greek historian Herodotus. According to Herodotus, Cyrus the Great diverted the Euphrates River, which ran through Babylon, and led his army into the city through the dried-up riverbed. This allowed the Persian army to enter the city without resistance and capture it. However, this account has been called into question by modern historians. There is little evidence to support the claim that Cyrus diverted the Euphrates River, and it is unlikely that such a feat would have been possible with the technology of the time. It is more likely that the Persian army simply entered the city through its gates, which were left open or were easily breached due to the lack of resistance. Another account of the fall of Babylon comes from the Babylonian Chronicle, a contemporary account of Babylonian history. According to the Chronicle, Cyrus captured the city after a siege that lasted several months. This account is more credible than Herodotus's, as it was written by Babylonians who witnessed the events firsthand. Regardless of the specifics of how it happened, the fall of Babylon was a significant turning point in ancient history. It marked the end of one era and the beginning of another, as the Achaemenid Empire rose to prominence and Babylon's influence waned. The fall of Babylon also had lasting effects on the region's culture and religion, as the Achaemenids introduced new customs and beliefs that would shape the region's future. Today, Babylon is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a popular tourist destination. The ruins of the ancient city serve as a reminder of the city's storied past and the impact it had on the world. The fall of Babylon may have been a momentous event in history, but its legacy lives on, both in the ruins of the city and in the cultures and religions that were shaped by its rise and fall.